Hey, welcome back to Anti-King, and welcome back to my short-form review series, where I look at the latest in horror and tell you, does it suck?
Whoa, I think I just figured something out, Beavis.
What?
This sucks.
Today, we're looking at Terrifier 2. The original Terrifier was written and directed by Damien Leone, who cut his teeth in the special effects department. Terrifier's main antagonist, Art the Clown, was popularized in Leone's 2013 All Hallows Eve, and immediately made an impact not only for his silent, unnerving energy, but for the absolute brutality he brings to his kills. Terrifier did much of the same, mixing over-the-top practical gore with Art's terrifying mime routine. Terrifier suffered, however, from a very low budget, with the movie estimated to have only cost about $50,000 to make. And just about every aspect of the original movie Leone wanted to make was affected by that budget. With a budget 5 times that this time, Terrifier 2 seeks to correct those woes, with a beefier, more narrative-driven story. So let's start off by getting to the things I like. If you watched my video on the first Terrifier, please do. You'll hear me talk about what it is about Art the Clown that I find so scary. Something about knowing this monster won't only kill you, but completely and utterly destroy your body in the process is legitimately horrifying to me. Terrifier 2 does not hold back on that at all. It is every bit as brutal and cruel as its predecessor and then some. Another thing I love about it is that all of those effects are entirely practical. As I said, Damien Leone made his name in this industry as a special effects person, and he did not betray that reputation. The practical effects in this movie are beautiful and at times scarringly realistic. There's one effect in particular that I, as much as I think about it, cannot figure out how they did. And I am a nerd about this stuff. I'm always watching the behind-the-scenes stuff about the practical effects and the gore, and I'm eager to see the behind-the-scenes on Terrifier 2 because I do not get how they did it. I wish I could explain right now what it is that I didn't understand about it, but it's such an important scene in the movie and I don't want to spoil it. The original Terrifier was also criticized for just being a gore showcase with little to no narrative. And while I have my problems with that criticism to begin with, I'll admit the story is incredibly limited. It had to be. They made it with $50,000. The story is fairly simplistic and it doesn't necessarily wrap up everything it introduces, but it is much more in depth than anything we get in the first one. But I think it really works here, mostly due to a outstanding performance by our new final girl. Now onto some of the things I think didn't work so well. That runtime, man. It is a 2.5-hour slasher, which is just insane. Nothing like that's ever been done. I remember thinking immediately when I saw that runtime that is an hour too long for a slasher. That being said, it doesn't really feel that long, and honestly, most of the stuff it includes can be justified for being there. So I don't know if you could cut necessarily an hour out of it, but there probably is a good extra 10 minutes of fat that didn't need to be there. But a lot of that also comes down to some really weird editing choices. Which brings me to my next thing, which is kind of two things put together. The acting in this, for the most part, is probably actually a lot better than you would expect. That being said, there are 2 characters, both of whom are moms of the main characters, of 2 of the main characters, who are just absolutely awful. But at times, it's not entirely their fault. Without getting into details, this movie has a particularly brutal scene meant to rival the hacksaw moment in the first Terrifier. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. At the end of that scene, one of the characters is meant to walk in on the aftermath, and the camera cuts between the carnage and her face as she reacts for what feels like a solid 3 minutes. And I don't understand why at all. Her reaction is bad. It's really it's almost comical how corny it is. And it really undercuts what is probably the most visceral moment in the whole movie. It was actually hard to watch. And they do that with the final girl's mom quite a few times as well, where the camera kind of lingers on a weird line or a weird motion she's doing, rather than just like cutting away and saving the whole thing. There's also about a 15-second long sequence involving a sword that I cannot get into without spoiling the movie. But man, I was watching just thinking, please don't go down this road. You're about to ruin this entire thing. Luckily, it doesn't really do that. It does like an implied truncated version of what I thought it was going to, and I can live with that. So the question remains, does it suck? And I would say absolutely not. I think it's fantastic if you're into old school practical gore effects and lots of them. The story is a nice upgrade over the original. The new final girl is outstanding. And David Howard Thornton's performance as Art the Clown, I think really solidifies him as one of horror's all-time great villains. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet. I've got just tons of content coming in October. So if you're into stuff like this, you'll probably really enjoy some of the stuff I have coming down the line. Anyways, stay safe.